up, everyone? Darkscream here, and with me is Magus.
Yo.
And DecKrash.
Greetings, humans.
And even though this news is over a week old, I decided I wanted to make a video about it because it is something I've discussed about on my channel before.
And it's something I've discussed on my channel before.
And and it's something that's also near and dear to DecKrash's heart, and that's why he's also joining us in this little panel discussion. Now, I forgot how long ago it was. It was probably about a year ago. I made a video called Should Robotech Even Deserve a Future? Where I talk about how even though Robotech was basically the gateway to anime, it was the big thing for its time. It seems they had like a stumbling history afterwards, and then they just kind of weirdly fizzle out into obscurity, doing nothing to capture a new audience. While at the same time, they've been holding the license to a Japanese IP that has not hardly seen the light of day here in the States. And they've been seen as a pariah for several decades now, even by most old school anime fans who loved Robotech. And after I made that video, there were some people in the comment sections telling me that, oh, don't worry, the Macross license is going to expire in 2021, so there's hope. Until July 5th, when I got this article shared to me by Multifire from Den of Geek telling me that they've renewed the license, and everyone kind of just screamed. You know what? Oh, we'll start with you, Magus. What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, you know how I feel about Robotech. It's been well documented. But here's the thing you got to consider. So let me ask you both a question before I proceed on. What other anime gets ignored largely for its American counterpart? But this one to a bigger sense of success than Robotech.
Wait, are you saying what American counterpart's more successful than its anime counterpart?
Yep.
Voltron.
Saber Rider.
Yep, exactly.
Sheriffs.
Yep, because Voltron had the Netflix series, which was a hit that a lot of people loved, and it's had several incarnations before that, right? And then, of course, the original. So you talk to a Voltron fan here in the States, particularly a new one, you tell them what Goal Line is, they don't know what the fuck that is, right?
Yeah, because Goal Line only had like one show, and at its time, it was shockingly dark and violent.
Oh my god, yeah, there's cannibalism and shit in it. I mean, in the first episode, there's cannibalism.
I remember at MechaCon several years ago, there was a showing of the original Golion, King of Beasts, in one of the viewing rooms, and it was so messed up. We were MST3King the hell out of it.
I did see the first episode with Multifire and Crunchyroll, and just seeing everyone getting massacred, and I had to keep reminding him, this became Voltron. I say as some dude gets hit in the back of the head so hard his eyes pop out.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, remember characters that died in the original American Voltron too. They became robot decoys, or somehow their gunshots transferred them to another dimension, or one guy just got wounded and sent to the hospital.
Yeah, he got sent to the hospital.
You're definitely thinking of Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs, with that one being when they get shot, they turn into vapor, and they're creatures from the vapor zone.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what they did for Sven. Like, Shirogane was apparently a popular character in Golion, so they brought back his twin brother in order to satiate the fans. The Westerners had a clever idea and just said, you know, they're both Sven at this point. And yeah, that was actually a pretty clever cover-up for the time. And also, another case, I will say Robotech has at least 2/3 more popularities than its Japanese counterparts. I'm not talking Macross. I'm talking about the other two shows.
Oh, yeah. Mosquita and Southern Cross.
Southern Cross and Mosquita.
But yeah. Robotech was unflinching when it came to character deaths. When a character died in Robotech, no, they were dead.
Yeah,
they didn't pretend that their audience couldn't handle, you know, the death of a character.
And spoilers for the original Robotech Macross show: Earth gets fucking scorched, which is why I have little faith in the live action movie adaptation. But we're kind of bouncing all over the place.
Well, let me say something about Robotech real quick.
Okay.
In the 80s, in America, let's be honest. everyone says we're living in the golden age of TV. Perhaps we are, right? Of serialized fiction, which have long-going story arcs, right?
Right.
Let's be honest. We Americans, and while there's a lot of great TV shows, we are behind because many countries, and I'm not just saying Japan, had serialized TV series before America did. Okay? As a Hispanic, I grew up around telenovelas. Those were serialized. They're not mere soap operas. Those are actual dramas in Mexico with a beginning, middle, and end, right? We
Right.
didn't have that here in the States, really. So when Macross came along, you got to consider it wasn't just a jump for anime, it was a jump for serialized television because, especially kids' cartoons, nothing was serialized. Like in Transformers, and G.I. Joe, you'd probably have a loose continuity where, okay, all these shit happens, Cobra Commander gets a new mask, okay, kind of like that, right?
Right.
But Robotech had an ongoing story arc, which was reflective of what was going on in Japan with anime, because all those shows were heavily serialized. So it wasn't just a jump for anime, it was a jump for serialized TV.
Right.
And it was ahead of its time. So the importance of Robotech cannot be denied. However, milking it at this point is pretty dumb.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I mean, I agree that, yeah, Robotech was one of the first shows, at least for kids, where it wasn't episodic in nature, like you're saying, but rather it told a complete, beginning, middle, and end story, and that was it. It also was one of the first ones, like we said, that would actually show character deaths. It was actually one where characters, grew up and matured and changed over time, rather than having the same thing. But it was superior to a lot of things that were coming out in America. And yeah, Japanese storytelling techniques back in the day were cut above the stuff that was being done in America.
Right.
Partly because there were a lot of restrictions on what you could and could not show for kids shows in the States, a lot more than there are in Japan. Not only that, they tended to insult children's intelligence, and so there's a lot of other things. But I think that doing something with Robotech, nowadays is not necessarily gonna be gonna be like beating a dead horse, because if you can hit the right nostalgia buttons, you can reboot the love for the franchise. Look what happened with Voltron Legendary Defender. That show ended up being fantastic because it was not just a love letter to the original fans. But it was also respectful to the source material and the spirit of the source material, while also doing a lot of new things.
Are you talking about the Netflix series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so Harmony Gold can do that with Robotech. The problem with Harmony Gold is, are they going to do that with Robotech? Doubtful.
Well,
let me.
go
ahead, Darkscream.
Well, I'm the youngest out of everyone in this panel, actually, and I did not grow up much in the 80s. I was mostly a 90s kid, and I didn't really see Robotech until a couple years later when I found this 20-disc set for like $40. They've been selling it for between $70 to $140. I was like, whole series, comes with a couple movies, comes with some bonus features. That is pretty impressive, considering that this was like the age of DVDs, where anime DVDs mostly, they've been kind of just eroding less and less bonus features out of the content. I mean, if you buy anime DVDs nowadays, you're lucky just to get trailers for other shows now. Whereas like back in the ADV days and stuff, you would get like cells, director's commentaries, et cetera, et cetera. This had a lot of package for a collection, so I decided to pick it up and watch it. And while I did think some of the moments aged, and as an adult, you could see the fact that these are three completely different shows, Frankenstein together into one narrative, because you're supposed to suspend your disbeliefs there in the same continuity. It hurts a lot during the Southern Cross arc, because in the original show, it takes place on another planet, but we're supposed to believe that this is still Earth a couple of years later. That being said, I still thought the show was really good, really fun to watch. I would watch this over most modern uncut anime nowadays. I would rewatch again. It was pretty fun. And, the mecha designs for both Macross and Muspida. Oh, God, I actually love the Cyclones of Muspida. They're really great. it didn't talk down to audiences all that much. The villains, not all of them were like one-dimensional, I want to rule the world kind of deal. Some of them were just like confused aliens who just didn't understand human culture and shit. It was pretty impressive, I liked it.
And that's why it's ahead of its time.
That being said, after that, it's been a flimsy road. There was supposed to be a more direct sequel to the Macross saga, but they didn't have the budget went dry. And I did see that. I did see the Sentinels pilot, and I kind of wasn't impressed. The animation quality wasn't all that good. The only good thing was like Rick and Lisa's wedding. And, just in the context of those pilots, I don't even know why it's called the Sentinels. I know it gets explained later on, but it wasn't a really strong introduction.
The Bill McKay books actually go into more detail because the Bill McKay books, for those of you who don't know, Bill McKay is actually a pseudonym for a group of writers that were.
I thought it was Jack McKinney.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting one.
What to say?
Oh, sorry, I'm getting one author mixed up. I have a collection of novels, and right next to my Robotech novels is Stargate novels, and I guess I got the two mixed up. Jack McKinney, you're right. Sorry. Anyway, so Jack McKinney is a pseudonym for a bunch of writers that were commissioned with, doing a series of novels that were basically, that are basically transcriptions of Robotech into a basic novel form. They took a lot of liberties with a lot of the minutiae of Robotech, and it's really impressive. You can get your hands on them. I have like all of them with the exception of 3, but excuse me. What I'm trying to say is that not only that, but they also, when I looked at Sentinels, I was actually kind of impressed with what they were trying to do, because the art style, they were trying to keep it as close to the original as possible while doing new things. The design for like the inorganics, and I have a friend back from when I was living in Lafayette. He had a collection of the old Robotech art books, and he even had the one for the Sentinels, which is really hard to find. And these things contain cells and concept art and explanations for the directions that they wanted to go with the show. And it was really pretty cool. And even the comic book series that was a prequel to Shadow Chronicles, which was supposed to have been a pilot for a new Robotech series several years ago, featured the Sentinels, which, like I said, were described in the Jack McKinney novels. My God, I can't believe I forgot Jack McKinney. The name was Jack McKinney.
All right. But yeah, like I said, Robotech still show that someone holds up. I like it, but everything after that, Harmony Gold it's been a missed opportunity. All at the same time, they've been apparently responsible for cock-blocking 90% of the Macross franchise from ever making localizations here. And I don't care about the Robotech versus Macross debate. Personally, I like to see a world where they can both coexist peacefully, because we are actually living in a time where Japanese companies are like aware of their Western counterparts, and they seem to be like kind of weirdly mixing and blending them together. For example, Magus, are you aware that Yamato got rebooted? Space Battleship? Yeah. It got rebooted. Guess what it's called?
Star Blazers?
It's called Star Blazers. Yamato, I want to say $21.99 or $20.99. But yeah, they're using the American title. Another example, there was a tokusatsu show by the...
Wait. They're using the title Star Blazers in Japan?
I believe so.
That's actually kind of heartwarming.
Another example, there was a tokusatsu show by the name of Gridman. Now, it got localized, and I remember watching this show a lot before I would go to school, as I believe it was Superhero or Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. Well, there was a Gridman anime that came out last year, and they literally titled it SSSS Gridman. The SSSS the 4 S's stand for Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad.
Right.
We're actually getting official DVD releases of Super Sentai shows from Shout Factory, but
I have them on Shout Factory to stream.
But Power Rangers is still continuing with its series and movies and stuff. I heard the recent one that's adapting from Go Busters is actually pretty good because I believe Hasbro has the rights now.
I'm still upset that the new Power Rangers movie never spawned a sequel. That was actually an impressively good movie.
You know what? I
agree. That was a good movie.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I mean, it was slow, but it was still a really good movie, and I did care about the characters. My only complaint was there wasn't a whole lot of the Ranger fights. It just was like 1 second of that, and then the rest of it was the Megazord battle.
Yeah, I should call that one Training Montage, the movie.
Pretty much. Now, I heard talk that we're still going to get another Power Rangers movie, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a sequel or reboot or whatever.
No, it's not going to be connected to the last one.
Oh boy, that's going to be confusing some mainstream audience members right there.
Well, how many times did they fucking reboot Spider-Man this decade?
Yeah, true.
Good point.
So, anyway, I got some things to say, Darkscream, about this.
Okay.
Well, I'm not a fan of what happened to Robotech afterwards. I do agree we can have both, okay?
Right.
My problem is this, though. The difference between Robotech and Voltron is that, yes, the Netflix series was a success, but before that, there was the 2012 Voltron series, which has a following. Then there was the early 2000s Voltron series, and then there was that. The difference between Voltron, though, and I guess Go Lion is Go Lion does not have a continuing franchise as far as I know in Japan, correct, Darkstream?
No, I'm pretty sure it was a one-shot.
Yeah, it's just that one shot.
Well, remember, Voltron...
Well, hold on. There was the Voltron, there was Go Lion, and then that was it. Well, of course, Vehicle Voltron. But
Dairuger.
Yeah, that was a whole other anime. But my point is this. Why are they scared that fucking Macross is going to be their goddamn competition? Because if you look at Macross Frontier and Macross 7 and all of the stuff that has happened, those series are vastly different than what Robotech is. Because the Macross series is still based around music, okay? Mm-hmm. Whereas Robotech seems more military-based, from what I understand.
Right, that's true. I mean, well, music still played something of a part in all three, but it wasn't given the emphasis that Macross did. And, I do agree that Macross should have a future. And that's the thing that worries me with the news that popped up with Robotech renewing its contract Tatsunoko. However, I believe that courts had ruled that that they can't have like complete exclusivity or something like that. So there is a chance that that Tatsunoko may be able to release their Macross licensed products for just release as they are in American markets. I don't know, but that is the thing that I'm hoping. I mean, I really like Robotech, and in spite of the way that Harmony Gold had been, like I said before, sitting on their hands over the last several years with this whole deal, and I'm sorry, even Kevin McKeever can only BS his way through things for so long. And I actually like the guy. I met him twice actually, and he was talking about, well, it's not in development hell. Yeah, he told me that he said that way back in 2008 in the Robotech movie. And so, what now? So what I'm sorry, I'm going off on a little tangent there. What I'm simply saying is that Harmony Gold did great things with what they have with Robotech. And I think that if they do things right, and they ought to allow Macross to be released, because there is a desire in the fandom for it anyway.
Well, the original Macross is released.
The Macross was the AD. That's what I'm talking about, not just
but let's not confuse people though. The original Macross is released in the States because, ironically, on Amazon Prime, you can watch all of Robotech, and then you can watch Macross, Mospeada, and Southern Cross in their original form. So they have all four available. Right. There's also the ADV dub of Macross from the mid-2000s, which that was an uphill battle, from what I understand.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. I was thinking of I thought you were thinking of that Americanization. Well, it was just an English dub of Macross. Do You Remember Love?
Clash of the Bionoids. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the ADV dub of the original series, which actually had Lin Minmei's original Japanese voice her in English. A lot of people don't know that either, which is a pretty cool touch. So
that's kind of the reason why I want to see that dub, but you know, it's going to be hard to find that entire collection.
Well,
it's hard to find
DVD. Yeah. Oh, I guess Harmony Gold didn't release it for a very long time.
No.
It was ADV actually, who's defunct now. Of course,
we got releases of the original Macross. We got that crappy Clash of Bionoids. I don't know how that happened. We got Macross 2 and we got Macross Plus, and I actually own 2 DVD copies of that series.
Macross Plus is good.
Macross Plus is
2 is not.
Yeah, 2 is not good.
It's not terrible, but it's like I understand now why it is not considered canon of the series.
But we didn't get if memory serves right, we didn't get Do You Remember Love, which is a beautifully animated movie. We didn't get the movie version of Plus. We didn't get 7, which
we did get the movie version of Plus. I remember back in the day when I was at Suncoast, back when that was still a thing, that I saw Macross Plus the series and also saw Macross Plus the movie.
Huh.
Which features Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston plays the main lead. But we didn't get 7, which I didn't hear was all that good. But we didn't get Frontier, nor did we get Delta. Now, I heard that the companies... See, I don't think Tatsunoko owns the entire rights to Macross. I think it was Big West, isn't it?
I know there was a big licensing deal issue for a long time, which was the reason why after Macross 7 there weren't any Macross series for ages until Frontier came out
10 years ago. Frontier is good.
Well, anyway, I heard
incredible. What are you talking about? Just good.
Oh, I love Frontier actually.
I said Frontier is incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's really good.
But I heard that the Japanese Blu-rays of Delta actually have English subtitles to compensate for this whole fucking debacle on what's going on. But yeah, meanwhile, with Robotech, we got, a canceled sequel. Then there was Robotech, The Untold Story. I don't want to go forever in that one. I probably should just post a link to a video of some guy who made a documentary about that.
And let's not forget the good old Robotech the movie.
Yeah, that is the movie, The Untold Story, the one that uses Megazone 23 as its...
That's the one I was going to ask about. Which one was the Megazone 23? Megazone 23 is a good movie by itself.
Yeah, no, the Robotech movie is not. I saw something. I think you can still watch it on YouTube.
Well, it would occasionally pop up on YouTube, and then Harmony Go with DMCA. I actually managed to catch it one of those open times, and I watched it from start to finish.
I couldn't watch it from start to finish. It was so horrible.
That is hilarious, considering that you're the Robotech aficionado and I'm not, and I was able to sit.
Dude,
all that. It was bad. Don't get me wrong.
Gold is still apologizing for that.
Yeah, and then we have like canceled Robotech 3000. Then there was the idea for Robotech 3, which apparently was the only thing it was like conceived in Masek's mind. Then there was Robotech The Shadow Chronicles, which I did not like.
I loved it. I thought it was great. And I have the Shadow Chronicles, plus I have the comic book prequel series that had been released right as Shadow Chronicles came out, which I have both the trade paperback and the original individual comics, which are hard to find.
Doesn't they have a pretty good voice cast, like Mark Hamill?
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah, they do. They have Mark Hamill, they have Richard Epcar, they have Yuri Lowenthal, I believe. They all did fine with what they got, but like the artwork was terrible, the CG was bad. The story does nothing. The story does nothing to garner a new audience. It's just fucking fan service pandering.
Actually, if you
it ends on a cliffhanger, setting up for a sequel called Shadow Rising, which they refuse to do because they want to get a live action movie out first. That movie, how old is that fucking movie? How old is Shadow Chronicles?
How long is
2008?
2008, so it's about 11 years old
11 fucking years.
And I was there when they first released. They did a first viewing of the movie at MechaCon, and this thing was so early a viewing that it was actually an unofficial first viewing. This thing had not been released like as an official first viewing for like test audiences and whatnot. They released it specifically for us at MechaCon. We were so excited. But
well, I want to say a couple things. Oh,
I was just want to say, I was just going to say is that I was really happy to have seen it, and I'm sorry, Darkscream doesn't like it, but you know, I loved it. I thought it was great because I was a big fan of the books. The books go into a lot of the lore involving the Sentinels and the Hayden Knights, and this show really expanded on that and did something different with it, which I thought was really a really cool setup. It just pisses me off that they never did anything, you know, with it after.
I never saw it, so I have no opinion. But Darkstream did name drop Carl Masick. So let's talk about him for a second.
I like Carl Masick.
He's very important for not just for Robotech, but he's also because he's important for Streamline.
Yes,
Streamline I think is more vital than probably Robotech, in my opinion.
Yeah, but everybody's going to just simply say he's the father of Robotech because you know, and I was glad to have met him one time when he was at MechaCon doing some signings. I bought that, and what Darkscream was describing that set of Robotech DVDs. That's the Protoculture edition. That was a big ultimate.
No, this one's a different one. This one was like a DVD release for by A&E.
Wow. Okay. Well, all right. Well, I have the Protoculture edition Robotech box set, which was the big ultimate thing that Harmony Gold did back in the day, and you know, you can't. I don't think you can really find. Well, you probably can find it. It may not be all that hard to find, but you're not going to find a whole lot of copies just floating out there. And mine, especially, which was signed by Carl Masick.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Everyone will remember him, but he's very, very important. And I think it's interesting with Streamline because one thing that is Robotech's legacy is he used a lot of the voice actors for the Streamline dubs, i.e. Michael McConaughey and Wendy Lee and all those old school anime voice actors. You know who I'm talking about, Darkscream.
Yeah.
All of those guys. And what's interesting is if you go on YouTube, you can watch that preview that the Streamline Pictures used to preview before their movies. And they advertised some Robotech thing. I don't know what it is, but it looked like Streamline was involved with something they were trying to do with Robotech. I think it was the Sentinels. I don't know.
Are you talking about Love, Live, Alive?
No. It has to be something not that recent, which I was about to talk about. Yeah,
because the Robotech, Streamline defunct in like 96, 97. But without Robotech and Harmony Gold, we wouldn't have had Streamline. So in that sense, you know, Carl Masick if you listen to interviews, there's a documentary I watched on him a few years back. It was after he passed away. But they talk about his Streamline, and he did want to bring over as much anime as he could in their original forms because he did somewhat regret what he did with Robotech and Macross.
I gotta see that documentary. Is it on YouTube or something?
I saw it maybe in 2012. It should be. Let me see. I'll look it up while you go ahead and say what you need to see.
Text me the URL. I do want to see that afterwards. But yeah, after that, there was Love, Live, Alive, which was this unnecessary clip show movie cut of the third Robotech arc, the Invicta arc, the new generation, the one that Maspia was adapted from. The only thing's worth a damn about it is the first 5 minutes and like the last 5 minutes, because that's all the new footage. Seriously, other than that, just fucking smash the fast forward chapter skip button. Because really, there was no point. It was long and drawn out, and it was blue-balling fans who wanted something new, more, and serviceable. Now, I also heard they have a comic books run on published by Titan Comics, I believe.
They had a lot of different Robotech comics.
This is the most recent one.
Okay, I started collecting them. But I kind of got bored because I didn't like the art style.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Look that they decided to go with.
It's not on there. I'm looking, Darkscream. It's not on YouTube.
That's what I was going to bring up because I've seen like one dude's YouTube channel, a very obscure guy. He's not really a big guy or whatever, but he was like the only one doing like videos on the Robotech Titan comics. and he thought they sucked. Mostly, one, because they changed the art style to be more Western, and I think that's pretty freaking egregious in my opinion, because regardless, even if it is an altered version of something that existed in Japan, when I think Robotech, I fucking think anime. I fucking think of it as the gateway show for the generation before mine, where kids would just run home from school to catch an episode of Robotech, to catch this new anime, and they decided to make it look like a fucking Western-looking comic. And I think there was an interview about it and why they did it that way. But the YouTube channel is called In These Things Going Down, and he was like going by issue, and he said that the comic, and my memory's a little bit fuzzy, but he says the comic was woke-ish, SJW pandering.
Seriously, they tried to do that to Robotech.
He also said Lin Min-Mei hardly smiles, which is the most out-of-character thing I've ever heard in my whole fucking life.
Yeah,
they try to SJW pander to everything now.
Min-Mei always had a smile that would light up a room. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, whether you liked it or not, you got to at least admit that. And which is so stupid, because Robotech was also a little bit progressive. There was a romance between Roy and Claudia.
Yeah, that was unheard of back in the 80s when I was growing up. Well, let's say it like this. It wasn't unheard of, but it was very rare to see it depicted on TV, and let alone in a kid's cartoon.
Ah, Jesus. But yeah, that's and yeah, I am of little faith if, and this is a big if, that live action Robotech movie comes out for various reasons.
Well, you got to also remember they may not, they may take liberties with the design and stuff like that. I don't think you're gonna see the Zentradi parading around in those big, ugly, high collar coat things that they wore.
I'm not even talking about little aesthetic things. First off, I was a little more averagely optimistic when James Wan was signed to be the director, and I think it was stupid of Sony to drop them, because
Sony's been going through a lot of problems, though.
Oh, so Sony's still going through problems. They're actually on my shit list. That includes the gaming department.
Then I think it was a wise decision to drop Robotech, because originally they were trying to fast track.
Oh, no, they still have it. They want to make a Harry Potter-esque franchise out of it.
Oh, okay, dude, poor choice of words, Harry Potter.
But that's what
Marvel
they said.
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They want an MCU. They want to turn to an MCU, whatever. They're the ones who had it before. You were thinking about Warner Brothers. They had it before Sony did. They were the ones that had the movie rights.
Well, no, I mean, I was just saying your choice of words was pretty bad, Harry Potter-esque.
But you were saying Sony dropped the Robotech movie rights, but no, they didn't. They still have it. In fact, when I had this discussion with a couple of friends of mine in Discord, they're telling me that maybe Sony's to blame for all this. Well, because they're so desperate for a fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe. They tried it with Spider-Man, didn't work. They tried it with Ghostbusters, that didn't work.
Oh, they're trying it with Spider-Man again.
Yeah, maybe that'll work, because I actually like Into the Spider-Verse a lot.
No. I'm talking about like Venom and Morbius and all that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because Venom was a goofy fucking movie, but it was a success. So it's a step forward into what Sony wants.
Well, so Sony got a taste of what Spider-Man is supposed to be, and it's really kind of telling when the higher ups are that tone deaf when it comes to what people the shows that people like.
They ever since they got the rights to Robotech, they've been discussing trying to turn that into a cinematic universe, and I don't think it's going to work. First off, let me get back to James Wan. Aquaman came out, and from what I've heard, the movie was average to mediocre. Yeah,
even I said that.
I'm sorry, I got to disagree. I thought Aquaman was great. It was not mediocre or average.
Well, here's the thing. Magus is the DC fanboy, and even he says it's just average to meh.
Here's the problem with the... Can I say... Let me just say real quick. Let me say what the problem with it is. I am very familiar with the Aquaman lore. The best comic book movies, though, what they do is they subtly put in, as they built sequels, elements of that universe, right?
Right.
The problem with Aquaman, let's put fucking everything in. Let's put the trench. Let's put fucking Black Manta. Let's put fucking Ocean Master. Let's put the center of the universe. No, it's too much in a fucking one movie.
Well, yeah.
All of that. digested. That's the problem with that film. If they would have scaled back and maybe built up Black Manta for a sequel the right way, instead of just, throwing in that unnecessary battle, if they would have built up maybe just the Trench and Ocean Master and throw a lot of the other stuff out, the film would have been more self-contained.
And yeah, I was going to say is that, I do agree with the whole deal with Black Manta. Even me and my friend, when we watched it, she was like, why did they even have Black Manta in that? That was an unnecessary part of the movie. And yeah, that was the only, to me, dead weight in the movie. Otherwise, the movie was great.
But here's the thing.
So most of the movie was dead weight. They threw too much of the lore in. They threw in all the kingdoms underwater. You don't need all the kingdoms in one fucking movie. You could have just centered on the Crisis in Atlantis.
Okay, we're getting off track. But what I'm trying to say is, regardless of what the critical and audience consensus was, that movie made a fucking $1 billion, despite Justice League doing poorly, despite the DC film universe being on like wonky ground before that. And I'm like, at this whole time, I'm trying to fathom why. And I was thinking it had to be the director. He's probably just that good. He could take a middle of the road film and make gold out of it. He's done it with one of the Fast and Furious films when that had production troubles because Paul Walker died mid-production, So I'm thinking he could, and the guy's probably a good action director. Robotech had a lot of crazy mecha action with missiles shooting all over the place. I would definitely want him directing something like that. But they got rid of him for the guy who directed it, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Well, that guy's a good director because he's 2 for 2 for me. I don't know about what's going to happen in September.
I wait until 3 or more. I mean, I'm pretty sure people were like, "Oh, M. Night Shyamalan,
No.
Sixth Sense, Unbreakable. He's going to be no." And you saw what happened.
A lot of people like Signs. Signs was after Signs, it was right after that. So you're waiting for 3.
I thought Signs was fucking stupid, but that's just me.
Signs personally.
We're a bunch of naked aliens, and our weakness is water. Sure, okay.
I never said the premise was the smartest. That was basically, though I liked Signs, you could definitely see cracks in Shyamalan's integrity. After with that one, the one that really just where everything came just falling down with the village.
Now, another reason why I don't think this movie would be successful is because, like I said, okay, you guys remember Robotech. You guys have fond memories of it. What about the younger generations? Do they give a fuck?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. If you do it right, it will reinvigorate fandom for the franchise. Look at what happened with Voltron Legendary Defender. It was able to make fans out of a totally new generation.
But Sony has a shitty track record with their films as of recent. Did you see the trailer for the Charlie Angels reboot?
Dude.
Let's not talk about that.
We have to.
Why?
Why?
Because Sony made it, and again,
it hasn't even come out yet, and I don't like talking smack about a movie before it's even come out because there have been trailers. There have been trailers made for movies that were lackluster, and the movie ended up being really good.
Man,
and there's trailers for movies that looked fucking badass and ended up like shit. So it goes both ways.
But at the same time, man, did you hear the dialogue in that show? Did you hear how woke it sounded?
I really didn't pay much attention.
I did.
It was basically Charlie's Angels.
It was basically the Batwoman trailer,
and also the oh god,
yeah,
now that was woke. Now I don't like just slapping the word woke on something just because it has dialogue that might seem somewhat feminist, because there's a right way to do diversity and feminism and whatnot.
That is true.
Yeah. So.
But, I am ye of little faith with Sony Pictures. And another thing that factors in is the mecha genre. And I love the mecha genre, but I acknowledge that we are in a very bad place with it.
I don't know about that. I mean, yes, Pacific Rim 2 was nowhere near as good as the original, but it does at least prove that there is room for movies with mecha in them.
Yeah, but nobody wants to take, not even anime studios.
Well, because the concept is really over the top, and so that was the reason why the first Pacific Rim movie did so well, was because it embraced its over the topness. The premise was utterly ridiculous and it reveled in it. So, and that's what you got to do with Mecha, I think, when it comes to trying to convert it into a live action movie. Yes, the premise is ridiculous in a sense, but you just embrace the ridiculousness. And you know, you can still do that even amidst a dark story. I mean, the story of Pacific Rim was pretty dark. You know, Earth under threat with these gigantic monsters that were coming up and just destroying, wrecking everything in their path, and we're just getting stronger and stronger and worse, and they were at a position where the governments of the world were trying to mothball the Jaegers for building huge walls. You know, and so yeah, you could do a ridiculous premise amidst even silly in one sense of the word, amidst a dark backdrop. I mean, hell, Robotech is basically about giant robots fighting 50-foot alien humans, human-like aliens, excuse me, and near the end of the whole deal, Earth gets incinerated. You know, but still is about, you know, hope and about love.
Now, I also have another theory, another factor. This is more hypothetical because, you know, there's a Gundam movie in production right now as we speak.
Yeah.
An American-made Gundam movie.
Yeah.
Well,
I believe Japanese studios are overseeing it, but Hollywood's still producing it.
If it comes out and that they can do a good job with a Gundam live action movie, an American-made Gundam live action movie, then Robotech, then that would be a sign that Robotech is totally doable.
I don't know, man. I would think it would be too well. If it's done the way you said, I think it would be too successful that will overshadow the Robotech movie.
I don't know about that. I mean, anime in movies still have a lukewarm reception here in the States, even with the massive success. Well, maybe not massive success, but it was definitely a success with the fans of Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, I've never read Alita yet, but I still enjoyed the movie.
Oh, a lot of people have told me. Oh, I have a friend she's super hardcore into the comics and shit. She was super skeptical going into the movie, and she said they nailed it.
Oh yeah,
movie. But that's because
so I don't know.
You had Rodriguez and James Cameron behind it. Yeah, you have to get really good guys.
And that's exactly the point.
But they're using new up and comers, which, by the way, they're using like new guys who have a good track record so far. But the reason why I think they're using some of the newer writers and directors is because producers can control them more easily.
Not just that, man, but the old guard is kind of getting a little long in the tooth, and they're incredibly selective about what they want to do, and they pretty much are doing their own thing, and they're pretty much and yeah, I think you're right in the respect that they're untouchable by the studios. You know,
they're getting really still Ready Player One. Read that fucking book.
Oh wait, what about Ready Player One?
I love Ready Player One, both the movie and the book. But that Ready Player One is actually one of my hands down favorite books.
That is one of the worst fucking books I've ever fucking read. I'm serious. Well, it is it's fucking goddamn Twilight for nerds. Go on, Darkscream. Yes, it is.
No, well, I'm sorry, I got to disagree. But you know, all that aside, all I'm trying to say is this. You had mentioned Spielberg, and I was right about to go to him because it was like, for instance, if Spielberg expressed an interest in wanting to direct the Robotech movie, do you honestly think any studio is going to tell him no? You know, because I mean, that man, everything he touches turns to gold, just about.
They won't tell him no. They won't tell Scorsese no. They won't tell Cameron no.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few in the so-called old guard.
Tarantino, they won't tell him no.
Robert Rodriguez, I think, is probably also one of those.
Yeah.
I don't know. His track record is hit and miss, though, unlike those other guys I mentioned. Like, I may not like all of Tarantino's films, but they've all been well received by the artsy critics. So there you go.
Well, because Tarantino's the kind of guy who likes to give the critics the finger. You know, he'll make a movie that's quote unquote not for the critics.
But they love it.
I just, and by the way, like, I've been looking at the general response from this article, which I'll put in the description, from DennerGeek.com, and I even saw the tweet. I was originally shared the tweet by Robotech News, and of course, the general consensus is just a big, wide, boo! You suck, Harmony Gold. I'm not the minority.
And I personally think that people who do that with Harmony Gold don't understand just the amount the anime fandom owes Harmony Gold.
It doesn't matter if they owe it. Yes, they do. They owe them, but it's what they're doing with it now. It's not. We're not contesting what they did. We even said, without Harmony Gold, there would have been no Streamline, et cetera, et cetera. However, what they're doing now is they're preventing other Macross coming from the States while sitting idly and not doing a fucking thing with Robotech.
That's the
difference between that and Voltron.
We almost had a Super Robot Wars game get an official release here. We almost had a a Macross PlayStation 1 game over here. And yeah, I played the demo and I saw the magazine ad for it. I actually have a friend who archives that shit, as well as a couple working designs things. That's just foreshadowing for our upcoming podcast.
Oh, yay.
but all of a sudden, they just never come out because the fucking Harmony Gold keeps cock blocking them. And it's like the only IP I have seen horrific, objectively bad shit anime come here multiple times. There are some studios who are actually localizing anime that's even poorly received in Japan and try to release it here ironically to people who actually like to watch trashy shows like Discotech Media. They recently licensed Angel Cop. They even advertised that they were going to have the subtitles uncut. Anyone familiar with that series knows that there was a really painfully anti-Semitic subplot in that show.
Yup.
And they've also released this other crappy anime from the 70s. I saw like one clip of it. It was so poorly animated. Mad Bull gets re-released. Master of Martial Arts, which was
I love Mad Bull. I love Mad Bull.
But you got me. It's one of those so bad it's hilarious kind of.
Oh, I love it because it's so fucking over the top. I mean, pistols shoot off people's heads and shit like that. That's dumb.
Attached grenades to his
pubes.
And you know what? I am an advocate of redubbing shit, but that dub is so bad that it fits in and it does not need to be changed.
Live action Mad
original
movie. What do you think?
Oh man.
That would be amazing. That would be.
But I haven't seen like recent crap like Master of Martial Arts and King's Game get localized here, no problems at all. But a great mecha series that's been alive for like 35 years, maybe 4 years, I can't remember. Still gets cock-blocked to this day. You know, it's resorting to, and I'm not a strong advocate for piracy, but this is one of those choices. It's like, but these people have no choice.
34 years.
34 years. They have no choice but to pirate Do You Remember Love or shell out $500 for Blu-ray, which is pretty freaking egregious. And I'm a big spender on most anime crap. I mean,
I don't think you have to shell out that much money for Macross Blu-ray. You're paying imports. You're still going to pay a pretty penny for it. Getting it all the way from Japan, but it's not going to be that much.
I still think it's
going to be raw. It's Japanese.
I'll say this: I am so glad that those original 3 series are on fucking Amazon, along with Robotech, because you can get the full experience.
And what I was trying. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But I will say this: my problem isn't what Harmony Gold did or Carl Masick did for anime. He's probably one of the most important figures. Aside from that Fernandez guy, which has my same last name, ironically, that did fucking Speed Racer in the to NBC in the 60s. But he's probably, along with him, one of the most important guys for bringing anime and exposing it. The thing about Carl Masick, he died nearly 10 years ago. There's no point in carrying Robotech right now with that. At least do something with it, or do what Darkscream said. What is in the harm of releasing both, of doing new Robotech and releasing the Macross? Because even though there is a split, and I'm more of a Macross guy than I am a Robotech guy, I would not give 2 shits less if we were getting Macross content and then Robotech content would be released. That's just me. But it doesn't work that way.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if we see like a new Robotech show that uses more mecha designs that were Mospita inspired, like I said, I freaking love the Cyclones, the power armor that turns into motorcycles.
And, and
That
what
was the coolest shit ever.
And what I'm trying to say, and you know, I agree with you guys, but this is the reason why I think that the way the fans reacted to this news is a knee-jerk reaction, because they don't know if Harmony Gold is going to keep sitting on everything that is Macross, or is going to finally wise up and and realize there's a market for that,
It's
and
so
will
weird because
get a piece of the freaking pie and go on ahead and release the original Macross series. Because that'd be amazing to finally see things like Macross Zero, Macross Frontier, Macross Delta, Macross 7. I cannot get into to save my life. I've tried, but see all that released in the States, and it's still not known if Harmony Gold is just going to keep doing the same old thing. And I'm kind of also wondering if there's ever been any fan petitions that have been created, to be sent to Harmony Gold to tell them, dude, stop sitting on stop just sitting on the Macross franchise, release the original on Robotech made, Macross series, all the other Macross series in the States, allow the Tatsunoko to do their thing. Hello?
Yeah, we heard you. I thought you had more
Yeah.
after that.
But I think we've said everything that needs to be said. One last thing, though.
Yeah.
Just from another side of me that Darkscream. How about that Robotech tabletop RPG from Palladium?
Oh God! Wait, the one way back when, or the recent one?
Oh, what are you talking
I didn't
about?
know there was a recent one. I'm talking about the Palladium one from the late '80s, early '90s.
Oh,
That was
okay.
Palladium.
I haven't played it. My friend actually has a book, but I heard that that there was a Kickstarter of a Robotech tabletop RPG that I think it was still done by Palladium or whatever. That ended as a fucking nightmare. This 1.4 million Kickstarter backed Kickstarter pretty much ended in tragedy.
What, because Harmony
I'll have to look that up.
No. Like, I found an article, but it's from a website that I don't like, but I'll probably link it to you anyways. It's because I don't have time to describe it here, but I'll give it to you on your Facebooks. But yeah, that's just an example of what most fans call the Sentinel's curse.
Real quick, my whole thing with the RPG though isn't necessarily my problems with Robotech. It's the fact that the Palladium system is a clusterfuck.
How so?
MDC.
Too much. Too fucking. The rules are. Every Palladium game, whether that's Rifts or the Ninja Turtles RPG that they did based off of the old Mirage comics, not the cartoon, the Rifts or whatever they did numerous fucking things. The Palladium art games have ridiculous amounts of rules that make 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons look super simplistic.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed you said Mirage Comics, because I wanted to see a crossover where Veritech fighters go toe to toe against the Technodrome.
well,
yeah, we wouldn't get that.
You actually probably could do that under Palladium, the Palladium system. Yeah, one of the problems with the Palladium system is it's utterly broken because of MDC. MDC, you cannot go up against a mech as a normal person, not without really specialized armor or really high-powered magic, or else you're just going to get blown away.
They did re-release what?
They did re-release Rifts. They re-released Rift recently under what's that system called?
Derps?
Shit, Rift. Yeah, Rifts, which was part of that was basically Palladium's fucking whatchamacallit, flagship game, Rifts.
Yeah.
Because and the concept is fucking cool. Savage, they did it under the Savage system, which is a pretty decent system. So.
Well, yeah, I saw that in our local comic store. I was like, did Palladium books go down or something?
I don't think so, but I think they released the Rift system because the Rift's concept is fucking cool, but under the Polaris, it's not the most acceptable thing, but under Savage, it is.
I also can't stand how shoehorny Harmony Gold is either. Like, they'll see anyone do like a fan-made project and then they'll try to cease and desist it. Meanwhile, even though they're doing more for Robotech than these guys are in recent years. Just saying.
Like I said, it just amazes me how tone-deaf big companies and corporations are when it comes to you know what the fans want, and you know sometimes they just shoot themselves in the foot when it comes to copyright. You know, when it comes to copyright stuff, I'm like, you ever heard of the old saying, "Imitation is the highest form of flattery"?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, these guys sure haven't.
I mean, I've been, like I said, they just hardly put butts in the seats. I know this because I've actually been to MechaCon 5 years ago, and I've actually been to most of the Harmony Gold panels hosted by Tommy Yoon. He seems like a nice guy. I even got a photo with him. But like I said, like barely a third full those panels were. And yeah, like I said, like they got to do something to get people's attention. And you know, like I said, it's not just this. Like Gundam is also like only pandering, is only like available to most obscure fans. It hasn't gotten a whole lot of mainstream attention since Iron Blood Orphans, I believe. But I can live with something being super niche and still ongoing. I can. In fact, it's kind of like my favorite thing. But like I said, like just Robotech thinks they can like strike lightning twice, but I don't think they can.
Well, there's one thing in play. I'm not really playing devil's advocate, but right now, and Brandon had a point earlier. Here's the deal: we live in a world right now that fucking sucks the dick of nostalgia. Look at fucking shit like Stranger Things. Why the fuck do you think it was changed from the 50s to the 80s? Everything. Not everything. Why do you think the next Wonder Woman is being set in the 80s? The point I'm making is there's so much nostalgia around the 80s that if they did do a new Robotech in some capacity, it might strike a chord.
Yeah, I mean, now would be the good time.
Bumblebee, which was a reboot, we finally learned it was a reboot of the Transformers franchise. It took place in the 80s.
I still need to see that movie, by the way. I still need to see it.
It is really good.
I know. I've heard.
Yeah, it is.
I've heard. I was blown away by the reception. I want to see the movie. Is it on Netflix now?
I don't know.
I have to check.
It should be on something now because Spider-Verse came out around the same time. And
yeah, Spider-Verse is on Netflix.
Watch that movie.
Dude, Spider-Verse is really fucking good. But yeah, I guess that's all I got, man. Like I said, my hopes for Harmony Gold. God, if anyone else had the rights, or if somebody who works under Harmony Gold that has more of a passion for Robotech had more control, or if the rights, or if Sony, can't believe I'm saying this, Sony or Funimation had more control, maybe we'd actually be seeing something new.
Yeah.
But this is just like banging my head to a wall, dude. 35 years of blue balls.
I'm with you, man. I've got nothing else to say on the topic myself. I think we should wrap this up. So
yeah, I got.
Yeah, I think we're kind of beating a dead horse.
All right. Well, you guys can find Magus's channel, Magus X1, and DecKrash, better known as Brandon. You can find his channel if you're still planning to upload content there. You still got ideas going on or whatever?
Yeah, I'm currently working on stuff that's connected to my being an author. I've got 6 books published under the pen name Brandon Hill. If anyone's interested, they can go on Amazon. My best recommendation is Double Cross My Heart. Just remember, it's Brandon Hill.
Brandon Hill, everybody. That's where you're going to find, that's the books he writes. Well, that's all I got. This was a fun panel. I'm glad we did this, though, even though I'm still frustrated at the news that happened. Man, this 2019's been a pretty terrible year for me, for most part, but
I also have a Facebook page for author Brandon Hill.
All right. With that, this is Darkscream signing out.
With that, guys, Magus out.
All right, DecKrash, better known as Brandon, signing out.
All right. Take care, everybody.